I really quickly just want to say my examinations are over, guys, so I hope to be a little bit more frequently uploading videos, maybe not every other week or anymore, maybe not every week, hopefully a couple of videos, maybe 2 every week, 3 every week, we'll see. But now let's get on to the video. What's going on, guys? Evil Dragon here, back with another Dead by Daylight video. Today, we're going to go over the killers I play the most, the builds that I use for them. Now, just a disclaimer, I don't play this game as often as I kind of used to. I'm still trying to get back into it now, and I've been playing a little bit more. I only have 500 hours, but I like to think I know what I'm talking about. I Prestige 3, like a third of the way there to Prestige 4. I've got a lot of prestiges on certain killers, so bear with me. We're not going to go over all of them. The ones I will be going over, though, is the Trapper, Nurse, Huntress, Shape, Bubba, or the Cannibal, sorry, Nightmare, Spirit, Ghostface, Oni, Deathslinger, Blight, Twins, Trickster, Nemesis, Cenobite, Dredge, and the Mastermind. Now, of course, like I said, I didn't mention all of them because I don't play the other ones. Like, I don't play Onryo, I don't play Pyramid Head. I only got the Prestige one because I want their perks. And, of course, I still don't have the Artist. And I do want to play the Knight, and I'm very close to getting him next, but I don't have him yet, of course. So, that's kind of the goal. I'm going to go over the perks that I use, the kind of add-ons I like to use and that I think work well. And I do have multiple builds, so like say Trapper, there's one build, or Myers, I have 3 builds that I use. Just, well, a couple of them are memes, but regardless, these are the builds I like to use. So without further ado, we're going to start with the first killer in the game, the Trapper. I think I have 2 builds for him. I do. Maybe 3. I think it's just these 2. I haven't tested that third one out. So to start off, Brutal Strength. Trapper is very slow, and you need to kind of be pressuring people quite a bit, which Brutal Strength and Fire Up goes quite well. Again, using Trapper, it's very going to be hard to keep all gens protected unless you get a good basement game going. And so, of course, you're going to have pallets being dropped on you. So breaking them, kicking gens, and genuinely just putting good pressure in on everything is good. So Brutal Strength, 20%, pretty good at breaking stuff. And then, of course, every stack of Fire Up, every time a gen gets done, you'll get a 4% little boost. And of course, in the end game, when you're kind of pressuring people, maybe you'll have 1 or 2 eliminations and the doors are being opened. This is another 20%, so you have 40% breaking speed for doors and pallets. Can be pretty good in the end game. Now, of course, with Trapper, basement is one of the best things you can do in guard. You can also put your bear traps into grass, which is also very good. But genuinely, basement is kind of the place where you want to be. You don't want to. I don't like personally guarding, because like puppy guarding is not fun, but you do want to get there as fast as you can, so having agitation is always a good perk. Now, what I like to do with certain killers, Trapper being one of them, is save the best for last is such a good perk, especially with a killer that you don't have to waste your stacks on. As an example, Huntress. If you can use save the best for last on Huntress, because you can use a hatchet to hit your obsession, and it doesn't make you lose stacks. Same with Trapper. If you can try and force your obsession to hit even once, because then you can just pick them up. You can just pick them up off of a trap. If you force them, you get the hook. That immediately saves you 2 or 4 of your stacks, because you have to get them injured, and then you have to put them in the dying state. That saves you a guaranteed 4 stacks if you're near them and they get trapped. So using save the best for last is kind of a good perk. I do, again, because this is pressure, I do like to sometimes switch this up for Bamboozle, but generally these are the 4. Brutal Strength and Fire Up for the good pressure, and you even vault faster with this. Agitation to get to the basement as fast as possible. And save the best for last just so you can keep the pressure on more. Kind of the add-ons I use the most with this build is more traps, because again, it's always nice to have more traps, which is the Trap Break. You get 1 extra trap starting and you can hold more traps. Or the Trapper Sack, which you just start with all the traps, and you can't pick them back up, so it's good to kind of set them around the basement, because that's where you kind of want to go. Not as much for this build, you'll see the second build after. The other add-on I like to use is the Fastening Tools. Pretty much what it does, it increases your trapping speed, because again, if you're in a chase, you kind of fake it, or maybe you just set one up really fast, which is really good. And it also increases the time required to rescue survivors from a trap, which is good, because again, if you go ahead and trap your obsession, and say someone comes to help them out, it takes longer, so it makes it easier for you to get there and pick them up instead of wasting your save the best for last stacks. Now, other good add-ons to note are the Honing Stone, which pretty much means that if a victim gets themselves out of a trap, they go to the dying state just like that. Very good, very simple. And that can be really good with, I don't have any of the iridescent. It can be good with, I think it's the bloody coil, where pretty much if you disarm a trap, you get injured. So once people start to realize that, you know, they'll go into the dying state, it takes maybe 1 or 2 people for them to realize that. But once they do realize, they'll try and disarm it, and from there, they'll get injured from disarming the trap, which is pretty solid on its own. The second build I like to use still has agitation, because this build is all about having people on your shoulder. So Iron Grasp keeps the struggling reduced by 75%, really easy to move around, and it takes 4% yellow. I believe it's up to 12% when it's purple. It takes it more time to get out of my grasp. Now, of course, if they have Boil Over, this kind of negates it because it goes up to 33% for Boil Over. But in general, most people don't carry that kind of gimmicky Boil Over build. So with Iron Grasp, it genuinely works really well. Starstruck works with agitation because, again, you're going to be moving fast with them on your shoulder to either get them to basement or to kind of chase people around, because you are significantly faster, 18% faster, when someone's on your shoulder. So you can walk faster, hold them on your shoulder for longer with Starstruck, because when they're in your terror radius, which after all, agitation increases your terror radius when someone's on your shoulder, this will go ahead and make people exposed, enabling you to chase them down faster and knock them down with one hit. And of course, if you can't hit someone, Mad Grit stops the timer when you hit someone with a basic attack when you're carrying someone for 4 seconds when it's purple, which is really good. The same add-ons kind of apply, especially the Trapper Sack, because you want to set up around basement. So having the traps on both the doors, the window, maybe 1 or 2 in the basement, and then of course some around. Plus you want to carry a trap to kind of guard the exit gate towards the end if they do get out. But Trapper Sack by far, again, with setting speed, because you want to set up your basement so fast. It works really well. Now, before we go to the next killer, I do want to point out my new headset. It's kind of going to be hard to tell if this is good or bad after recording the fact. First time actually wearing this and putting this on, so I hope the mic quality is good. Now, next killer is the Nurse, the best killer in the game. Absolutely love her. So, the perks I like to use, sadly, are not going to be usable much anymore, because you'll see why. Agitation. The Nurse is very slow. You know, she's the slowest killer in the game, moving at 105% speed, I think. Hold on, where do you go for your information? Sorry, 3.8. She moves 3.8% speed, which is like 95% speed. I mean, she moves slower than survivors. My bad. Which is not good. So, carrying people and moving around as fast as you can with agitation, again, 18% increase is amazing. It allows you to kind of, again, maybe hit someone, because people will really quickly notice that you can body block the Nurse with someone on your shoulder because of how slow you are. Because when you pick someone up, you're just slower. So being able to move that much quicker is very beneficial. Eruption, a good gen perk, able to, you know, you kick a gen and you move on. Genuinely, for most Nurse players, you don't need to run gen perks. I mean, Eruption, after all, is one of the best gem perks in the game currently. But again, I tend to run it just because I'm not the best Nurse player. Nurse is still kind of hard on console. The next perk is Terminus. Terminus actually works really well, I find, with the Nurse, because with how fast you can blink and get around the map, injuring people is very easy. So if you are ever in that scenario, again, most Nurses never go to the end game, but if you do get to the end game, Terminus is there to back you up, keeping survivors unable to heal, which Terminus actually works well in the endgame with a Nurse's Calling, but I like to use a better perk because it helps throughout the match, and that's Scorch Hook Floods of Rage. Pretty much, you have Scorch Hooks around the map, and after someone gets unhooked, every survivor is revealed their aura for up to 7 seconds when purple, which 7 seconds doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're the Nurse and you're moving around, moving your camera around, you can see people, and it gives you so much information. It's amazing. I believe that's my only build for the Nurse, but of course, we have to go through her add-ons. Her add-ons just got a massive overhaul, which kind of sucks. So I'm just gonna go to, you know, your classic Nurse. I haven't actually really looked at them. I'm gonna go, of course, to your original kind of Nurse add-ons, the ones you want to use. Of course, your blink. Decreasing your blink fatigue by 7%, not the best anymore. It was like 20, 15% before. Again, it's not the best, but it is still viable. There is a better purple option, which I currently don't have, but when you do get that, it's very good. And I do like to use the timer, which is before you succumb to the fatigue after a blink, allowing you to kind of wait and kind of flake someone out because they might think you're going to fatigue and they'll stun you, and then you can hit them, which actually works with coup de grace if you want to put that in. I don't know why you'd use that for a nurse, but it can get a little bit of value. But usually it's also this one here, which increases your movement speed after a blink, but before your fatigue by 30%. So you're able to move that much quicker, which works with this one. So you get a little bit more distance, and then of course your blink fatigue duration reduces really quick, and you're back in the game. I mean, I'm never really going to recommend this one because it is an iridescent, and it absolutely increases your blink recharge time, and you always want to get your blinks fast. But I believe there's an add-on to get your blinks faster. You know what, I should be doing this. One second. Yeah, and of course, you can't always actually use this one. Your extra fatigue from a chain blink, which is your 2 blinks, most people use your 2 blinks relatively quickly. So you can go ahead, and let's get rid of that one there, sorry. Use the little pine cone here, the Catonic Boy's Treasure. Use these 2 in conjunction as it decreases your blink fatigue duration by 7%. But of course, it also decreases your extra fatigue from your chain blink by 65%. So it decreases quite a bit of your fatigue when you do one blink than the other. Now, you'll notice I did have Starstruck up because that was the old build. The reason why I got rid of Starstruck is Nurse's attacks are now actually special, which means Starstruck only works with basic attacks, so it does not work anymore, sadly. Which, I mean, let's be honest, she didn't need the nerf for certain perks and, like, I guess that to get more blood points, but let's be honest, it's not really going to slow her down much. I know I'm kind of stuttering with the nurse, because again, I haven't played her much. I've played her like 3-4 matches since the, you know, her whole rework, not really a rework, her whole nerf there. So I haven't been able to decide what good add-ons are good, because I haven't really played the best. I usually just use my old yellow ones, because I don't like using my better ones. But again, this kind of build here genuinely works well for me. Before my darling, the shape, we're going to go to the Huntress. That's creepy. Okay, we're going to have you stare at the screen now. No, I'm kidding. Go away. Now, the Huntress has the build I use. Sadly, I have to use this build now because before, this build's amazing. This build right here, absolutely amazing, but sadly, I got to use this one now, which I'm not as big of a fan of. We'll get into why. This build can still be viable, but you'll notice Hex Ruin. Ruin got that nerf, a year ago? Half a year ago? Whatever it was. To where instead of 200% progress, it goes down by 100%. So pretty much it's just like you kick the gen. That's how slowly it goes down now. Which is fine. I mean, it's not terrible. It's just so much slower than it once was. Which isn't very good for the pressure. Because if you went on someone, you know, you're chasing someone, they get off a gen, it goes down pretty slowly instead of as fast as it used to, and another survivor gets on and it might have lost like 4 or 5%. Not very big, whereas before it might have lost like 10%, which is amazing. But the reason why I use Ruin is because Ruin is a good slowdown perk, of course. Well, it was. It still kind of is. It's kind of in the middle there. It's not the worst. It's not the best anymore. You use that with Hex and Dying, of course, so when people are near your hexes or any unlit totems, you can just see them, a little bit of information there. But it works best with Hex the Third Seal. I've never seen anyone use this perk, and to be honest, it's pretty bad, because all it does is gives you the blindness status effect, but you'll notice it's hitting the survivor with a basic or special attack. Applies blindness. So the last 4 survivors hit, meaning if you hit every survivor once with a hatchet, with a melee attack, with whatever, they immediately get the blindness. Meaning they can't see each other's auras. If you're running an aura perk, because you know you're a survivor with friends team, and one of you has all the auras, so you have empathy, and I think it's empathic connection or whatever, bond, kindred, that goes away immediately for everybody. You can't see gens on maps. You can't see the hatch with a key. Left Behind doesn't work with the hatch. You can't see my aura. Nothing. If you just get hit once. And that applies to every single survivor till they get rid of the third seal. Which again, doesn't seem like a lot, but then you realize the Huntress, you can just hit people and move on. You can just snipe someone across the map if you're lucky. And again, because you might see them doing a totem with Hex Undying, and you snipe them and they get blind. Which is, because again, then they can't see totems as an example. It's absolutely amazing. And again, Hex Undying just gives both of these a second life. So total there's 3 totems, and hopefully this one goes last. Again, Ruin, you kind of want that for your gens, but at the same time, like, the third seal really is kind of better for this build than Ruin. And finally, just to reload faster, Iron Maiden, which gives people the exposed aspect on top, which is kind of a bonus. You see their location for 4 seconds, again, pretty good. but you reload 50% faster at lockers. That cannot be understated. Add-ons I usually like to use is the decreases reload time from reloading hatches for a total of 70%. You open lockers 50% faster, and you reload 20%. That stacks up to 70% reload time reduced. Absolutely amazing. Of course, some of her other good perks is decreasing the time to wind up the hatchet, the green version. You also have the hatchets inflict the exhaustion. I usually don't use that one, but it can be usable. I like to have the, I don't know, where's the belt? Is it not the belt? Yeah, the tool belt. There we go. I like to run the tool belt. Gives you 7 hatchets with the reload speed, because then you can throw hatchets a bunch, reload really quick. Works like a charm. Usually that, or again, reload speed with winding up hatchets, because you just want to throw more hatchets more. The second build, practically identical, except instead of Ruin, because again, Ruin isn't that good anymore, it's Eruption. I would put, I don't want to say Surge. What's the name? Jolt? Is it Jolt? I don't want to say Surge. No, it's just Jolt. I want to use Jolt, but again, Jolt is only hitting with a basic attack, sadly, so it wouldn't work with the hatchets if you down someone with that. Kind of bad. But again, Eruption, kick a gen, kick multiple gens. Every time you down someone, boom, they explode. If you're on a gen, survivors screaming, their location, they can't do anything for 25 seconds. They lose 10% of the gens. Blah, 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 blah. You can also, with this build though, because again, Hex the Third Seal is kind of all that you want. It's very important. You can always go ahead and change out Iron Maiden, and then, which means, though, I would not recommend using the reload because it's just kind of too slow. I know 20% does seem like a lot. I find it to be too slow. So then what I would do is kind of use the winding up hatchets and the infantry belt, or heck, even the iridescent head to just down people because you can only have one hatchet. But the reason why is because then instead of Iron Maiden, like I said earlier, save the best for last. Amazing on a killer like Huntress because you save your stacks when you melee and you just use your hatchets on the obsession. Amazing. Next killer, Mikey Mai, also known as the Shape. 3 builds for him because he is my main. I'm halfway there to level 13. Absolutely amazing. My main build. Starting off, we're going to start at the back here instead. Thrilling Tremors. Picking up someone, blocks gens for 16 seconds. Myers, I know. Okay. I made my tier list, again, almost a year ago, I think. My point still stands. He is S tier. I don't care what anyone says. And the way he's S tier, and most people say, oh, for killers, I think perks do matter. This game is revolves around, look at these perks. There's almost 8 pages. Next time the killer, another killer comes out, there will be 8 pages of perks. Perks do matter in this game. I don't care what you say, oh, killers aren't good without perks. You use perks for killers no matter what, which is why I think he's S tier. And sure, he might need a little bit of help from his perks, but you have 4 perk slots. The whole point of the game is to use different combos, which is why Thrilling Tremors is there to give him a little bit of a helping hand. If you can down someone early on or get up to tier 2, you can go ahead and pick up someone once they're down, and it blocks gens for 16 seconds, giving you time roughly if you're near a hook. I'd say about 6 of those seconds, is about just you carrying them and hooking them. But then the last 10 seconds allows you to go around the map and try and find someone relatively quick, force them off from where they're hiding near gen. That means one person's hooked, you're chasing someone, and then 2 others are maybe working on gens, or one is going to save, one's working on a gen. Very good pressure from this perk alone. It does trigger only once every 60 seconds, but honestly with Michael Myers' power, it can be really good to kind of, again, insta-down people and then pressure them, pick them back up after 60 seconds. It doesn't take that long to chase with his extra lunge and whatever. Save the best for last, his perk. Now, I recommend using on Michael because, again, he focuses around pressure. He's a stealth killer. But once his stealthiness goes away for tier 1, he focuses around pressure. That's his sole focus. So you need a perk that works well with that. Leaving your obsession till last, after it's called save the best for last. You hit everyone else, get your stacks up. Plus, if you do decide to go for your obsession, you can that's when you 99 your power, and when you use it on the obsession, you one-shot them. Instead of losing your 4 stacks by 2 hitting them, you just one-shot them and lose only 2 stacks, which you can gather right back relatively quick from the others. Fire up, because early on Michael is a little bit slow, so you need those first 1 or 2 gens that get done. You need those early bonuses for picking up, dropping stuff, vaulting, damaging gens. Plus vaulting in tier 3 is always just good for Michael. And finally, another gen perk, because he does use basic attacks no matter what, even in tier 3. So you're near a gen that's right about to be done because, you know, you have your tier 3 on, you chase someone off, and you hit them. So the gen blows up and you pick them up, and that gen that just got hit also is now blocked for 16 seconds, losing progress as you go. Very good, very amazing. The powers or add-ons I like to mainly use for this build is your typical J. Myers Memorial, which increases your rate of evil stalking at 25%, which makes it very easy to get out of stage 1, which means Fire Up really helps you throughout the rest of the match. Maybe one gen gets popped in that time, but by then, you're tier 2. And of course, the Hair Bow, which increases your evil within by 30 seconds, going from 1 minute to 90 seconds, which again, kind of overlaps with the Throwing Tremors, because you'll still have your, once you pick someone up, because you down them, you just use it, and you down them, you still have like 28, 27 seconds left after you pick them up to go ahead and go crazy. And yeah, it just means you lead a little bit more evil for evil within 3, but still with this, because again, 50%, that's half of it, you still can get like 4 or 5 uses maybe of this tier. It's amazing. And the final perk build that I have is just a meme build. It's kind of like Michael from the movies. In the movies, he's like unstoppable, you know, he gets shot, he gets stabbed, and nothing happens to him at all. But that's kind of this build. Infinite tier 3, meaning no matter what, he's always deadly. You need the J. Myers Memorial. I don't really like the Tombstone. Tombstone is good, sure, broken, but you want to get to tier 3 as fast as you can. So use this to just, you know, stalk as many people. Maybe tier 3 gens get popped. Once you get this up, you're meme, you're done. You one-shot everybody. Plus, they might think you have the Tombstone going for the trophy, which is not the case, so they might hide in a locker to avoid that, which is kind of funny. Of course, you have Enduring, which means a pallet only stuns you for 50% of the time instead of the full time. Absolutely amazing. You get stunned, and then you go ahead and you break it with Fire Up. Fire Up with the Bamboozle again, and your constant tier 3 vault means you have a crazy vault. With the new Mastermind perk Superior and Anatomy, when a survivor performs a fast vault right in front of you, your vaulting speed is 40%. So Michael Myers super increased vaulting speed, 15%. 40% is 55, and then the other 75 plus his insane vault. You're going to be vaulting absolutely bonkers. Now, you could get rid of Bamboozle, because again, I feel like this perk, just the vaulting is so much better with the Superior Anatomy. You could get rid of Bamboozle for Brutal Strength to give you that 40% boost if they get all the gens done. For kicking gens, because you gotta kind of have that little bit of map pressure there. But obviously, Infinite tier 3, you're gonna be crazy anyways. But yeah, you know, breaking gens, breaking pallets, breaking that, because again, Michael's just unstoppable with any of those perks. And that is the shape. Moving on to the Cannibal. There he is. Why do you have the dark? You don't have the dark eyes. In the movies, we see your eyes. We don't see his eyes. The cool one. You're a phony. Anyways, the Cannibal. I do have one build. Now, obviously, Cannibal works best with camping. I know that, but I don't like to camp. I like to actually play the game. So I usually run Agitation again, just to get them to the basement the fastest, because then you don't camp. Again, I don't like to camp. So put them in the basement, just leave. It still means, though, that if you're near the basement when someone's saving them, you can go down the stairs and just chainsaw a bunch of them. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Then Thrilling Tremors, again, just for the extra gem pressure with Overcharge. I don't like Eruption as much on Bubba. I find that he moves best with the pressure from the chainsaw, so you gotta be constantly moving. You don't have time. You do have time to kick gens, but you might not get as much from Eruption because you're constantly moving. And sure, your chainsaw downs them fast, but I like Overcharge to the fact that when someone touches it and they miss a skill check, they lose the really hard skill check once you touch the gen right away. 5% instantly lost, plus it's like ruined. It goes down to 200% over time and absolutely ruins the gen progress. Plus again, you can sneak up on them with Tinkerer, so you go over to them, maybe chainsaw a scare, maybe knock one down, kick the gen, and then you walk and hook them in the basement while that goes down by the massive percent, and they just lost Tinker, and you just got Tinkerers, and they lost that 70% because it went absolutely bonkers. The add-ons here, kind of your typical add-ons you like to see. Nice scrap. No, that's not that. There we go. Beast Marks. Sure, it does increase your time to chainsaw sweep by 14%. That's 14% is nothing because it increases your movement speed by 3%, and you want to have award-winning chili, which adds half a second per charge spent. So if you have your 3 charges and you use them, you know, as best as you can, that's 1.5 seconds for your sweep plus a 3% movement speed. This is like movement. This is like Billy on Bubba. Sure, you can't use your chainsaws on, but you just move around the map. You use this for mobility and for chases. It's absolutely amazing. I really recommend these two add-ons together if you can get used to them, and this build. This build, again, absolutely golden. Next killer is Freddy. Freddy. I've been playing him again. Absolutely love the Nightmare. There, we see your eyes. You're a horror movie icon. We see your eyes. We don't see Michael's, which makes sense. I don't care about. Sorry guys, my controller freaked out and decided to get a drink of water because my voice is hurting. To the start of the build. So, a build I like to use with Freddy. Fire Up is honestly generally just a good perk. Gives you more pressure with braking and kicking. Allows you to run after them. Why are these such powerful gen perks? Sure, you can go. I mean, this is honestly an overpowered build for Freddy. He's not as powerful as he once was at his broken moment. He's he's a much lower killer. But again, that's why you kick a lot faster to get Eruption up. And if they do somehow get a gen done with this build, Deadlock stops them in their path. Now, I have no idea how to use snares at all. So, you're going to see all of these builds using the pallets. Because, I mean, again, pellets, in my opinion, are that much better. Which, again, with this pallet, you get 7 Dream pallet tokens. Which pretty much, a fake pallet, what it does, when you're in the, I think, just the Dream world. This is, yeah, survivors who trigger Dream pallet. I think it's just the Dream world. I don't really know. But, if they're, I'm going to assume it's the Dream world. When in the Dream world, we'll see a fake pallet. They throw it down and nothing happens, and they pretty much they have their auras revealed to you for 6 seconds. Now one good thing about this build you'll see. Okay, yeah, I was wondering why this was going with this. That's why it's not supposed to be Deadlock. So it's supposed to be not Colorblind. Where are you? Merciless Storm. I should have set this video up better, but it's okay. We're going to roll with the mistakes that I'm making. We're all learning here. This video's been going on for like 45 minutes of recording. Anyways, Merciless Storm. At 90% progress, it starts spinning and you have to hit your skill checks. If you miss one, the entity blocks it for 20 seconds and it starts going down. Plus, missing the skill check right here, if you're in the dream world, which most of the time you kind of are, the skill check miss would be much more significant at 4% loss. You'll definitely see me running these add-ons quite a bit, except for one build, you'll see that. But yeah, pretty much kick gens with this faster and also vault faster. And if they, with Merciless Storm, if they go ahead and miss the skill check, they lose 4% instantly. Amazing. My main build, which I absolutely, again, why do I have this one? Go back to this one, thank you. Which I absolutely love, is an endgame build. There's actually 2 endgame builds. This one first requires, again, the Dream World is kind of good for Freddy, so running the red paintbrush, I know you're not going to have an infinite supply. They are an ultra rare add-on after all, but having them on hand means they can't use a gen to, mess up and wake up, and they all start in the Dream World, so it's really good for you. They don't really know where you are. Your terror radius is everywhere. Your laugh is everywhere. Then, of course, Dream Pallets, because, again, I find them to be easier. Save the best for last. Pretty self-explanatory. Throughout the match, you have no gen perks. So you need to be putting pressure down. So the pressure is save the best for last. Smacking people around to get your stacks up really helps out when it comes to the end game. Try and save your obsession for the last, because when it comes to it, you'll get NOED, that 4% speed boost. Now, of course, the Hex is shown to people, but whatever, by then they're going to be long gone. And you can kind of guard it too. But they suffer from the exposed status effect, making them one hit, which is why you want to save your tokens and only go for everyone else that's not your obsession, and then smack your obsession when you get NOED activated, and you really got to look out for that and guard that totem, because people are going to be looking for that. Because they're going to be looking for it, because first they're going to activate a gate and realize once you've hooked everybody that it has 1 extra minute of time for you to mess around with them. That gives them time, sure, to look for your totem, so you're going to kind of want to go around this, but also take note which gate they went for. If they went for the one in the left side or the right side or the north or the south or whatever, make sure. Because what you want to do, once that minute's up, you kind of want to drag it out a little bit longer. See, you want to go to a gate and see that they're kind of maybe halfway open and push them off because they're exposed. Then kind of leave someone on the ground. Hopefully you've left someone on the ground at this point. You open the gate as fast as you can and try and put Blood Warden down. Sure, now the gate's open, but you have Blood Warden up, meaning now you have another extra minute, and the timer's up for overall, which means the timer will start to go down, and they gotta either have to save their friend that you just hooked, or they gotta hide from you for another whole minute, while hopefully this is kind of, you've gone away now, hopefully you have no head up. And if you still have no head up, which sometimes you still will, you can still one-shot them. They'll be in the dream world. They can't wake up because the gens are done anyways. You'll have your save the best for last tokens, and maybe like 3 survivors because the one you just hooked died. And you have a whole extra minute from so 1 minute and a whole another second minute to play around and try and get the others in down the instantly with no head. Moving on from the Nightmare, he's fun. I love him. Where are you? There you are, Spirit. Okay, so the build for the Spirit. Oh, that was Adept. Huh. Anyways, obviously, Strider. I mean, I don't know if I have to explain this. Pretty self-explanatory. But when you're phasing, you got to listen for a couple things. You got to look for the scratch marks, but listen for the breathing. So when they're injured, their breathing is just 50% louder when they're injured, and then 25% louder if they're not injured. It's just louder, allowing you to hear them better when they're phasing because you can't see them. Pretty self-explanatory. Then, Devour Hope. Jolt is, of course, just used because I believe, yeah. So when she smacks someone coming out of a phase, it's a standard basic attack, allowing gens to blow up. You need that kind of perk deck, which is relatively good because you're phasing a lot with this build, because you want Devour Hope. After 2 tokens, you gain a 5% haste status effect for 10 seconds after hooking a survivor, and it's only 10 seconds. After 3 tokens, also you got to be away from 24 meters, so phasing away and speeding away is really good for this as well. That's part of the main reason. But after 3 tokens, all survivors suffer the exposed status effect, meaning they're one shot. And finally, for 5 tokens, if you can get it that high, which the hex is protected by Undying, which gives you a little bit of information, of course, from being near dull totems or whatever, which can set up their own boons, by the way. Anyways, you can kill survivors by your own hand if you even down them once, which is amazing. So yeah, this all works really well. You can hear them. You got your gen pressure. You can kind of very subtly see them. And it gives an extra life to your main kind of build here, Devour Hope, where you want to protect this totem. At least once the Undying goes away, you really want to protect it no matter what. Because once you can at least down them instantly, it's really, really effective. I haven't played her too much to know that, I mean, Mother-Daughter Rain, and what is it? The Yakuoka, I probably butchered that so hard. The Amulet these are the best combo. This is the best combo, no doubt. But what I do like to use, because I mean, you're never going to be using Iridescent constantly, what I like to use is your recharge rate increases so that you can speed away from your Hex Devour Hope. So that you can speed away from your Hex Devour Hope, so you get the token. But also, of course, you do want to be a little bit fast on knocking people down or getting back to your totem if you see someone from Undying on it. So you want to kind of increase the speed. Where is it? You want to increase your speed, wherever that is. I think it's the yellow one. Yeah, you want to increase your speed as fast as you can, so you can recharge faster and speed around. Or, of course, you can just run the duration to last longer. These two kind of go interchangeably. I kind of prefer the speed just because I find it to be a little bit more useful. But yeah, that is the Spirit, which takes us to the Ghostface. No, I'm kidding. Ghostface, here he is. Crazy build, let me explain. Barbecue and chili doesn't give you the blood points anymore, that's fine. But it does every time you see someone, if they're outside of your 40 meters, you can see them for 4 seconds, which stacks with Lethal Pursuer. Because the whole point of Ghostface is you want to stalk people insanely fast. So you see them for the first 9 seconds, and then with Barbecue and Chili, it works with Lethal Pursuer. You see them for an additional 2 seconds from Barbecue and Chili, allowing you to see them easier and make your way over to them to stalk them. Jolt, of course, for just knocking, for maybe getting them hit with an exposed attack or just downing someone either way. Jolt goes down and it loses gen progression at 8%. The drill, 32 meter radius, whatever. But also, I'm all ears. You might be chasing someone and they vault with life, and you might not be able to see them. But then you can for 6 seconds plus these additional 2 seconds, 8 seconds total. You could still see them. It's good. His add-ons were recently buffed, a couple months back, which is really good. Sure there are other add-ons here. Come on, downing someone who's marked reveals everybody else for 7 seconds, plus another 2, so 9 seconds. that's pretty good. But like, in my opinion, these brown add-ons are pretty amazing. I think they're the only ones now. Like crush movement speed, what are you gonna do? Tear radius. Dynasty takes more time. Like sure, these are good. Instantly recharges if you break a pallet or wall, sure. But brown add-ons that add 10 seconds to your mark duration, so from 60 to 70 or 50 to 60 seconds, whatever, gives you more time to chase them down and hunt them down, which makes more use of I'm all ears too. And then, of course, your recovery time is reduced by 6 seconds to get your power more frequently. When you hunt them down using your barbecue and chili, you have your power back instantly. Absolutely amazing. So yeah, this whole build is just about using auras to track people down faster and get your power back as fast as you can to lock them down, knocking them down with one hit, which of course breaks gens in the area. Amazing. Next killer is the Oni. We have this build. This build is pretty good. I think I have a second. I don't have a second. I thought I had a second. Don't worry about it. This build works good. Good old Enduring Spirit Fury. I use it with him for one reason only. When you're in your Blood Fury, you can go ahead and absolutely one-shot pallets, which also counts for Spirit Fury. You just have to break 2 pallets, which means the next time you're stunned, the pallet will break with you, which also works with Endurance. So if you have your power up, you get stunned for half the time, the pallet breaks, and you can go ahead and hold your R2 for a good strong lunge, knocking them down and one-shotting them instantly. Of course, Eruption for gen progression reduction. You know, you kick every single gen, a bunch of gens. And then when you down someone relatively quick with the Spirit Fury and Enduring build, you know, all those gens explode, lose 10%, people working on them, you know, they're incapacitated, you know, the drill. Sloppy Butcher makes them just bleed more. And of course, with being the Oni, that's all you need. You need blood to power up your ability, which is really good. Abilities I like to use, Splintered Hull, pretty much. It makes them drop 33% more blood, plus they're bleeding more, which means they drop a lot of blood, especially when they vault over stuff. And then I like to usually either use this one, which stacks with it, making them drop insane amounts of blood, which is absolutely crazy. Or I like to speed it up, you know, your dash, or the duration by 10 seconds. All these kind of like L here, this L shape, these 4 add-ons work so good together, but always the purple one, always Splintered Hull, just so you get more blood combined with Sloppy Butcher to get it more. And again, usually it's the Tooth, or the Fang, sorry, just to get that more time, but you can get more speed either. These two work hand in hand. One of the two, you can use them together as well. But again, always use Splintered Hull. This build's amazing, because again, let me, one more time, get more blood to get your power faster, get instantly breaking a pallet, and then you can use your power to knock someone down, making all the gens you've kicked blown up. It's amazing. Next killer, which is my second gem, the Death Slinger. I love cowboys, come on. And then with this build, again, Ruin should be probably switched out for Jolt, because Ruin's not as good. But when it was good, you just all hexes. Hex Retribution, pretty much when someone, you know, would break your lit totems, 15 seconds you can see them. Then it's masked by Hex Plaything again, and once you start knocking people down and hooking them, Hex Playthings pop up over around the room, you know, around the map, and they get the Oblivious status effect, which is good. It masks the Retribution. Hex Undying, so in case they get it relatively early on, it would again protect Retribution or protect Ruin, in case, once again, they got rid of Ruin. Ruin is that gem perk that you want. It was really good, but I'd probably switch this out for Jolt now. Add-ons you want to use is reloading faster, because the whole point is trying to hook people to protect your Retribution. And so again, if you have to absolutely use, again, Retribution, or if you have to absolutely use it, your iridescent item, so that you can knock people down instantly from a good long sniper shot. If not, then I'd probably use like the chain again, just so it makes the chain, you know, not break easier and it's a lot stronger. Now, with that, on to the next killer. Now, the Blight's build that I have is very good. What it uses is it utilizes Tinkerer. Pretty much when a gen hits 70%, you get the undetectable status for 16 seconds. And again, with how fast you move around, you can get from one side of the map to the other with the undetectable status effect and sneak up on someone and maybe hit them and knock them out, whatever. Then, now usually, I'm kind of bad on Blight. Blight is very hard to use on console. As you all know, I'm a console player, so that's why I do use Eruption and Deadlock. Eruption, you kick a gen, allowing you to go again, chase someone and knock them down, blowing up all those gens. And if they do get a gen done, you have Deadlock to protect it. It seems really broken, but I just find on console at least, Blight is so hard to turn and maneuver. which is why in chases I use Bamboozle, allowing myself to block vaults and also vault faster to kind of win chases a little bit quicker. And because you'll be using your power a lot, I'm still trying to get used to it on console. You want to use your power. That's the main point of the Blade. He's amazing with his power, just as good as the Nurse. But the add-ons make it a lot easier to utilize on console. So you want to use Bladed Crow. Every time you hit a wall or use a blight, it goes up by 6% speed. And then I use also the turning by 15% add-on. It makes turning that much easier, just to turn a little bit faster. You can use the Blighted Rat if you don't want to use green add-ons all the time, just go up by 3% for the speed. You can use the Slam duration that lasts 1 second, allowing you to change your direction a lot easier. You can also go ahead and use slamming so that in your area you can see survivors within 6 meters, I think, if you slam something. Or heck, you can use the Adrenaline Vial or Compound 33, the Iridescent Compound 33. That gives you absolute broken speeds and broken tokens, like multiple tokens, or downing someone instantly on your last rush there. A bunch of add-ons you can use, but again, Bladed Crow with turning, so much easier for a console player to use and utilize his power. Again, I wouldn't recommend using Deadlock and Eruption together. I'd probably change out Deadlock for another perk. But if you are playing console, I'd definitely use it, because on console, Blight is terribly hard to play. On to the next killer. With the twins, the build is pretty simple. First off, Insidious. When you stand still for a couple seconds, you gain the undetectable status effect. It's good because when you use Victor, Charlotte gains the undetectable status effect. So you can kind of fake people out. You can put down Victor away from people, then say walk in front of a survivor that's on a hook, as an example. Sure, it's camping, but use your Insidious so it looks like you're using Victor. You can only usually use it once during the match because they really quickly realize you have Insidious, but it might give you the ability to kind of grab someone off. And camping as the twins, I would never say you should use it and do it, but it's the twins. They're really, really hard to play, and getting someone hooked and then grabbing someone right off that, really easy with Insidious. Again, you only use it once because they realize you have that perk, but then you get another hook. Makes it a lot easier for the twins. Blood Warden again, because you can use Insidious to kind of hide yourself at the end of the gate, make it look like you're using Victor. Someone comes in all injured, or maybe full health. If they're full health, it doesn't work as much, but if they're injured, you can kind of walk out, and then smack them, hook them, Blood Warden activates, and you're protected for the next solid minute. Eruption, because you need a good gen perk. Again, kicking gens, knocking someone down, and then hooking them, standing in front of them and grabbing them off if you've already kicked other gens. Then it works a charm. Bamboozle, just because in chases, Charlotte is relatively slow, and I'm very bad at chases with twins anyways, because you might not always have Victor. So you want to use Bamboozle to kind of catch up to people. Good add-ons or stuff that makes his pounce fully quiet, so you can sneak up on people as Victor, or speed add-ons and pounce charged add-ons, so you can charge your pounce extremely fast, or Victor can run literally Sonic the Hedgehog speeds all across the map. Now, that is my twins. On to the Trickster. My Trickster is relatively simple. Iron Maiden to gain that 50% opening locker to reload absolutely crazily fast. Then you use the add-on that increases your reload by 25%. So you can reload by 75% speeds. It's crazy. The other add-on you want to use is the shoes, so that while you're throwing knives, 2.5% doesn't seem like a lot faster to run, but trust me, when you're chasing someone around a corner, getting an extra knife in because you're faster really, really counts. Agitation to go ahead and hook people is amazing. Save the best for last because you can just use your knives only on the obsession. Gives you more time to gain stacks from hitting other people if you're out of knives, but it doesn't matter. You can just reload crazily, so you'll always be reloading to get your knives back anyways. Eruption, because it's just a great gem perk, and with the Trickster in particular, I would use Eruption because, again, kicking someone, and then you can throw knives from super far away. If you miss, you reload. It's whatever. Again, Agitation just to add the pressure to get back into the game with your knives or your 8 million stacks of Save the Best for Last to go ahead and knock someone down. Now, on to the next killer, which is the Nemesis. The Nemesis. Alright, look at this guy. Creepy, ugly, and absolutely massive. Let's go into the loadout I use for the Nemesis. Starting off, Save the Best for Last. His tentacle does not hurt the obsession, of course, so having Save the Best for Last, because you're not always going to use a tentacle. You're going to use your tentacle to, break walls, break pallets extremely fast, get that longer reach hit, or to infect everybody, but after that, I mean, honestly, you could kind of just use it for Save the Best for Last. I'm just going to punch people, in my opinion, but that's how it goes. Thrilling Tremors. Of course, picking up someone blocks all the gens, and it works with Eruption, because maybe you knock someone down, Eruption hits, you pick them back up, and the gen that just lost 10% continues to lose progress and is blocked for the next 16 seconds. Amazing. A good final endgame perk, because again, with the Nemesis, your whole point is to either hit someone or infect them, just get them weaker in general. You want to go ahead and use Terminus, pretty much. Once the last gen is popped, everyone who is injured, downed, hooked, whatever, they are broken. Even Adrenaline cannot save them. Until, of course, a gen is open, and then for 30 seconds they're still broken, and then Adrenaline will kick in for them. So it takes a long time for that, and it absolutely gets rid of one of the best perks in the game. Survivor perks anyways. Add-ons I like to use, usually Marvin's Blood, because it makes, when you hit a survivor with a tentacle, it makes their infection go up a lot quicker. But I also like to do depleted ink ribbon, not the depleted ink, sorry, the broken recovery coin with the Marvin's Blood, because what this does is it gets rid of one of the supply cases. There's only 4 vaccines in the entire game for the entire round. Take this one out, there's 3, meaning if you infect everybody, only 3 of them can get cured. It's absolutely amazing, especially if you leave the obsession infected. That way everyone else uses one, the obsession is still infected. It's really all you need, so then you can keep your save the best for last stacks. Usually broken recovery coin with either Marvin's Blood or honestly serotonin injector, because when you break a zombie or just destroy it, you gain the undetectable status for 15 whole seconds, which is quite a lot of time, just as long as Tinkerer, so it allows you to go around the map as fast as you want. That's my Nemesis. Next, we have the final 3, starting with the Cenobite. Oh, I love this Pinhead. Pinhead, such a cool guy. Now, Franklin's Demise, pretty much when you hit a survivor with a basic attack, for the next 90 seconds their item will be dropped on the floor and it loses the charges. I don't care about that. Use your flashlights all you want. The point of this, though, is it gets rid of unique items as well. So flashbangs, it gets rid of the firecrackers, it gets rid of the box. And what you can do with the box is then you pick it up and activate Chain Hunt immediately, absolutely as fast as humanly possible, which is really good. Of course, the old Retribution and Hex plaything, again, Hex plaything and Mass Retribution, so every time someone has a Hex totem, they break it, and as long as it's not Retribution, you can go ahead and see everybody for 15 seconds. Finally, you just need a strong gen perk, and of course, Deadlock is where it's at. Every time someone completes the gen, next one is blocked for 30 seconds. This whole build is so good. I used to run Ruin, but then I got Franklin's Demise for Pinhead, and I just switched that up instead because now Ruin's also bad, and Pinhead is just very good with Franklin's Demise. So again, get your box and get your Chain Hunt. Items I like to use, Engineer's Fang. You don't always have the ability to use Iridescent, but this might be the best Iridescent add-on. When you use a chain, you injure a healthy survivor, and sure, you only get 2 chains on an injured survivor when you hit them with this, but who cares? It's still, like, that's still basically non-existent. You're still injuring people with the chain. But of course, if you're not going to use that, I like to use the, where are they? The Torture Pillar and this little Burning Candle. Pretty much for a total of 9 seconds, decreases the Chain Hunt's active ability time, or whatever you want to call it. It makes the Chain Hunt a lot easier to activate, which is absolutely amazing. This is why I absolutely love these 2 add-ons together, because again, 9 seconds for the Chain Hunt is pretty quick, and you keep getting people over and over again. Plus, of course, if you get the box from Franklin's Demise, it just makes it that much better. You can use Lethal Pursuer instead of probably Franklin's, and to find the box right away. But again, I just think these 2 perks work so well together. You need a good gen perk. So Franklin's, if you're going to switch it out for Lethal Pursuer, it'd have to be Franklin's out of this build. These are the 2 add-ons I use the most. But don't stop it. You can use the maximum travel distance. You can use the maximum casting range. You can use the turning rate. You can use all of those. I just think these ones to get your Chain Hunt active the fastest are the best add-ons. The second last killer, the Dredge. I'm not gonna lie. At first, I kind of hated his power. Oh yeah, I have the cool Christmas skin. I kind of hated his power, and I didn't like him at first. Then I got used to it, and I thought it was better for this build in particular. And right off the bat, it's gonna look strange, and I understand that. 3 obsession-based perks, 2 of them being the Michael Myers, but they work so well, and we'll get into why. First off, let's start Deadlock. You need a very strong gen regression perk on the Dredge, and this is the one. Someone completes a gen, and the gen that's at 95% gets blocked for the next 30 seconds. Absolutely amazing. Save the best for last. Well, he doesn't have a power to be able to do that. It can still kind of work if they, not everybody uses lockers, but if you use a locker with head on or something, you can go right in. You can see people from lockers. It's amazing, and it still kind of gives you that advantage if they are the obsession. He's a stealth killer as well, making it a little bit easier to maybe grab someone off of a gen. Hopefully, again, if it's the obsession, you save your tokens. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a strange one. Dying Light, what this does is the obsession gains a 33% action bonus to unhooking and healing. When before it got this buff for the perk, it was also repairing generators, but now it's just unhooking and healing there a little bit faster. That's nothing. It is so good because when you hook anyone that isn't the obsession, you gain a token, which is 3% to everybody else, to repairing the generators, to healing, and sabotaging speeds, not unhooking. Pretty much everybody who isn't the obsession will get 3%, then 6%, then 9%, and continues to hook them, which is why you have furtive chase. If the obsession gets hooked, and they get unhooked off the hook, the person who unhooked the obsession becomes the obsession, meaning that now you can hook the original obsession who once was... It's kind of confusing. You can hook the person who once was the obsession to then gain more tokens for this. And you also then gain your save the best for last stacks if you're going for that person afterwards. And you can gain up to a maximum of 4 tokens. Each token decreases your terror radius by 4 meters, going from 32 down to 16, which then a stealth killer with a really small, like a tier 2 Myers terror radius. You go ahead and you continue to hook people. The obsession is just really lazy add-on for that 33%. That's nothing, and you can continue to get your stacks to slow down people on the gens. It's amazing, and of course you have your faster stacks from hitting people. Add-ons I like to go with: reveals the reveals the aura of the survivor for 6 seconds if they lock a locker. This is a good one, but so can increasing the duration of Nightfall by 20 seconds. Nightfall is amazing because they don't see your terror radius. They can kind of see you from far away, but sometimes you can sneak up on them really easily. Works really well. Then, not that one. Where is it? I think it's this helmet here. No, not that one. There we go. These two right here. Decreases your cooldown for teleporting when you're not in Nightfall, and you are in Nightfall. So, you can teleport from locker to locker so much faster. It works really well. And of course, to get Nightfall, by the way, you have to injure people, hook them, put pressure on for chases, and that's how you get that. So yeah, typically those perks, the iridescent aren't honestly that good. You can get using additional power for, you know, your charge there. But yeah, so teleporting faster, being able to see someone if they lock a locker. And also, yeah, decreasing your exit time from a locker can be very good for chases. A little bit tougher, but nonetheless very good, very strong. Also, another good perk. If you want to run it, it's kind of risky, but it actually works on lockers. Is Unrelenting, pretty much a missed basic attack cooldown by 30%. But if you go ahead and you break a locker that has a lock on it, it'll count for that 30%, giving you more time to just, you know, break a locker really fast and go off and find some other survivors. If you're going to use this one, I would then get rid of Save the Best for last, but genuinely this build works the best centered around these two perks, the Obsession based, so you kind of want to have Save the Best for last to get your missed tokens up. But again, if you want to get rid of this perk, you can always change it for Unrelenting just to break those lockers faster. And again, teleporting faster or having Nightfall a little quicker, exiting lockers, these 4 add-ons are usually the ones I use and are the best by far. The final killer that I have a couple builds for is Wesker. I still play Wesker ever since he got released. I'm almost close to buying the Knight. As you can see here, I've been playing a bit as I've been recording this massive video, and so I want to get the Knight next. So if I did that, I would have a build for him, but not quite yet. But Wesker, really quickly before, I just want to note this out. He is the biggest terror radius in the game at 40 meters per second. I'm only marking out just for now for the reason why I have one of the perks, and that perk is Distressing. Pretty much your terror radius is increased by 26%. He has a 50-meter terror radius. To put that into perspective, Discordance, this perk, which pretty much if there's multiple people on a gen, it lights up, is 128 meters. That's almost a third, but for Discordance being purple, you can see someone gens anywhere on the map, which most maps, yeah, are typically like 130, 40 meters in like width and diameter and whatever you want to call it. So genuinely, for like almost 40% of the entire map, people can hear your terror radius. It's as good as like old iridescent button add-on for the Legion. But again, very, very strong. Distressing, you also get those extra blood points, which is fine. But the pressure you get from this, because you might be chasing someone in the middle of, say, Coal Tower, and someone out in the forest just hears your heartbeat and they get off thinking you're near. It's amazing. Distressing really adds on to this massive tear radius. Then, save the best for last again, kind of self-explanatory with your blinks or your lunges, charges, whatever you want to call them. You can very easily injure the Obsession, and you save these, so you save the best for last. Overcharge, because you want to kick the gens, get that little ruin, and again, with your massive tear radius, they might not go back for that if you're in the general area, that, again, 40% of the map, they might hear you, so they might not go right to the gen really quick, allowing it to lose damage really quickly, like old ruin 200%. No way out, because again, you're going to be going over the map crazily. After all, in my opinion, I think Wesker is definitely maybe an A++ S tier killer. We'll get into that when the next killer comes out, and I go ahead and change up my tier list, because I want to wait every 3-4 killers. But, again, Wesker, absolutely amazing, but just in case you need that extra pressure, because you will be hooking a lot of people, you have No Way Out, which adds a minute to your time. No Way Out can be switched with this particular build for, where is it? I think it's, yeah, Call of Brian. When you kick a gen, it immediately starts at 200%, and it stacks with overcharge, going up to a maximum 400% of the regression. Of course, if someone misses a skill check, the aura switches to yellow so you see them, and this perk works right away. When they touch the gen, they have to hit a skill check. If they miss it, well, you know, sorry, if you hit the good skill check, then you see a loud noise notification. These two go hand in hand. Sorry, it's not if you miss skill check. You have to hit a good skill check. Add-ons I typically use overall. The leather gloves, it decreases your recharge time, kind of like your blink time, for 10%. Pretty good. And of course, honestly, I play him the most. He's probably my main killer right now, besides Michael. So I use all sorts of his add-ons. The iridescent Ouroboros vial. Survivors start the trial all infected. Amazing. This one, instead of going over walls, going over the pallet, you just break him with your power, like a Nemesis tentacle smash. Cool. This one increases your rate of infection when you grab someone. With your perk, amazing. Reveals their aura. When reveals their aura when they reach full infection. Increases your duration of the bound window by 50%, trying to zoom forward and hit people. This one, it takes more time for survivors to use the spray. Increases your infection passive rate by 30%. This one makes you oblivious when they start to use a spray. This one increases your mid-bound extension. This one, again, the timer is decreases by 10%. This one increases where you throw them. This one increases your movement speed. These are the best add-ons, in my opinion. All the yellow up to all the red. Some of these are not that good. Like, I don't know, this one, you give them hemorrhage, like that's not very good. But most of these are absolutely amazing add-ons that work so well together. Again, I typically like to use the leather gloves, but I've used all mine up, which is why I'm in the custom game for them. But I usually use the leather gloves with either, throwing them farther or just the extra speed so you can catch up to them, because these yellow add-ons are crazy. Now, if you stayed to watch till the end, thank you. This video took a long time to make, and I did it for all of you guys so I can help you play your game and maybe use your builds to, if you're not doing so good, do a little bit better. But as you'll go through, you'll notice some of my wording is off, especially when I had to go over and do my voiceovers for the 4 select killers, the Deathslinger, Twins, Blight, Trickster, etc. The reason why is I had originally had this video to be 71 minutes long, or an hour and 10 minutes. But the problem was, you can only upload videos that are maximum an hour long. So this is the intro right now, or sorry, the outro right now. I have to watch what I say because I only have roughly a minute left now to go on. So the video can only be so long or else you cannot upload it. So if this video does good and you guys have loved it, again, you're watching this till the end, so I'm assuming you loved it and you watched it all the way through, then I will do a part 2 and do the other builds that I had, including I took out the Legion because he was the killer I had not used the most of. So I took him out because these are killers I use more and the builds are stronger and better and whatever. But again, I had other builds like Myers and Deathslinger, so if you do want to see a part 2, let me know. I am going to do a part 2 for Survivors, but again, maybe I'll add that on there, or I'll do a separate one for the killers. But I hope you guys did enjoy nonetheless. Maybe leave a like, maybe leave a nice comment down below, maybe hit that subscribe button, dang that little bell, and just so you know, exams are over, which means more time for more videos. Have a good day, guys. Bye.